And, relationships are everything.
They are.
And according
it's the difference between success and failures, most times. Yeah.
And according to Diana Rossini of The Athletic, the relationship between Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts needs some work. Apparently, not really. They're just kind of two different personalities is the way that it was described. That, Jalen Hurts is more quiet and calm and laid back, and Nick Sirianni will tell the Cowboys to F off after they won a game in Dallas or in Philly or whatever it was. But so that was part of the report that Diana Rossini had over the weekend, and also talked about the fact that, Jalen Hurts was not happy with the play calling last year. And you look at it and you go, okay, well, if that's the case, because he felt like it was too conservative, at least they got rid of both coordinators. They moved on. They made wholesale changes at the coordinator position. They moved on from Brian Johnson, and so they've got a brand new – but that wasn't really the issue, because the offense last year that Jalen Hurts wasn't happy with, that was Nick Sirianni's offense.
Yeesh.
And then you come to find out that the coordinators that were brought in and were hired, those weren't Nick Sirianni hires. Those were Howie Roseman hires. So he's the one that went out and made the decision on both the new coordinators that have come in, not Nick Sirianni. So if you've got a coach who maybe doesn't get along with the quarterback, and you've got a coach whose organization doesn't trust you enough to hire your own coordinators, I don't know. It kind of feels like we're up against it for Nick Sirianni this season.
Eesh.
Feels like a problem.
Well, when you have a problem that now becomes a publicly covered problem, Jonas, I think you set yourself up for one or two things. You either set yourself up with the opportunity where you can fix whatever it is that's taking place, and there's this word called humility. And if you can humble yourself to going to your players, more specifically to Jalen Hurts, sitting him down and building that rapport and building that trust with him, so that you have not only your franchise quarterback feeling good about you, but your franchise quarterback feeling good about him. Because that's really, for a coach, what's most important is you build a relationship with your players where they're getting the most out of one another. It's so crazy. I hate to make this about me, but it's weird. I had a dream last night. I dreamed very vividly here and there. And I was with Joe last night in my dream, and we were checking in for training camp. Weird. Like, it's training camp time, but we were checking in for training camp, and I could just – it was wild. It blew me away because my Morgan Stanley people were driving me to the facility and went into the facility with me. Joe comes in, and he gives me a piece of paper, and I'm like, oh, no. I was like, what is Joe giving me? He was like, yeah, you got to take care of your taxes. Hey, you got to take care of your taxes. I don't even like this NIL. And then he talks to my advisors like, hey, you guys can you guys help him with his taxes? That's in my dream last night. You know what I mean? Like, weird. But, the thing about it is that your coaches are the one person outside of your parents, Jonas, that have the impact on your life outside of just being a player. Generally speaking, if you have a really, really fine coach, the last thing on their mind is you being a great football player. The first thing on their mind is you being a great person. And I think in the pros, sometimes that gets lost. Sometimes these coaches are so hell-bent on what it is that they want, whether it's the results, winning a Super Bowl, whether it's keeping their job because I have to feed my family and my kids and all this stuff, and I have to maintain what we have going on. Whatever the main objective is, a lot of times it's just not the relationship or the welfare of of the player you're coaching. So there's no surprise why relationships go awry. There's no surprise why teams lose and it's a corrosive environment that the locker room is and all kinds of different. It's just there's no surprise. And then you see a guy removed and he's replaced by another guy who has that feeling that I'm talking about where your feelings matter. It's one of the most singular important things to an athlete is to matter. That's it. You want to know the secret? You can draw. Nick Sirianni could put his playbook in front of Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts will do everything within his power and within his will to be able to make that playbook work just because Nick Sirianni believes so much in what Jalen Hurts feels and him mattering. That's why you saw what's going on in Houston. That's why they're winning. I don't know Kyle Shanahan, but a lot of people that play for him, they say they love the dude because he cares about them as people. That's why they're winning. Oh, he's a genius. Yeah, maybe he is an offensive brilliant mind as a play caller. But make no mistake about it. It's the way Trent Williams blocks. It's the way Christian McCaffrey does what he does. It's the way Brock Purdy plays the way that he plays. It's the way Debo plays. These guys are playing for one another, and they're playing for their coach because they matter.
And also, as much criticism as Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys have gotten, if you ask anybody there, they love Mike McCarthy. Like, that's not an issue at all.
I can't use him as an example.
Well, I'm just saying, like that.
But I get what you're saying.
They love the guy, and so
you haven't heard any players come out and say we need to get rid of him.
No.
I'll tell you that.
Hell no.
You're not hearing what we're talking about right now, where there's a player that's saying, or there's reports saying that there's division between him and the players. Like we're not hearing any of those reports.
Mike Zimmer's been in Dallas for an hour and a half, and there's already been reported issues with
that
their
him
best
and Michael
player.
Parsons. Yeah,
like nothing with Mike McCarthy. You don't hear a damn thing about it. But there's just been and so that's why I didn't understand why Nick Sirianni should even be on the hot seat at all. The guy's 17 games over 500. Like, he's been to the playoffs every year. They were just in a Super Bowl. And then you see reports like this and you go, oh, okay, now I kind of get it. Now it makes sense why the pressure's on and why there's been these rumblings of Belichick, which I'll say this, if you're looking for a coach that's going to care about your feelings, maybe that's not the example you want to go.
That's the wrong direction to go in, maybe.
You know what I mean?
Might be the wrong direction.
But now when you start to see that added in.
Now, Vrabel, on the other hand,
yes.
Vrabel,
yeah.
that's he cares about his players.
That could be one as well, too. But, yeah, I saw that and I go, okay, now I kind of have a better understanding as to what's really happening in Philly. So, hey, they're favored to win the division, and now we get to see if it plays out. Nick Sirianni's brought back for next year as well, too.
Well, maybe it being brought to his attention, like I said, is it's a determining factor. Behind closed doors, you could try to put things together, and sometimes you don't realize the magnitude of how bad it is. The fact that it's now being reported on and who it's coming from, which means it probably really did come from the inside of that building. Nick Sirianni has some serious decisions to make, and if I were him, I would beg, I would grovel, I would crawl on my knees and tell Jalen Hurts, you know what, you're the man. Let's figure this out. Let's go get something to eat, whatever, some burgers, some smash burgers. Let's talk over a pop, and let's get this thing on track. Let's go win some games.
Yeah.
What do you need from me? If I'm Nick Sirianni, that's the decision I make, is to care about Jalen's feelings and what he's thinking and where he wants to go and how he would like to get there. And let's figure out how to plot our course and our plan based off of how he's feeling and make sure that we make that open and open dialogue for the rest of our team as we move forward. Can't not be a player coach in 2024, 25 moving forward. Just can't. It doesn't work.